Hello, welcome back to another episode of Relationship Smart Women podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Matheson, and today I get to talk to Katie Dean. She's just this fabulous human and coach and author. She is a woman who gives us permission to be ourselves, to be human, to be imperfect, to be messy, which is the name of her book that she's releasing pretty much right now. In our chat, we talk about all that pressure that we put on ourselves to be perfect in relation to parenting, our homes, our relationships, and I also managed to swerve the conversation around to how we look. Katie shares her journey with her breast implants, which you don't want to miss. And just the whole conversation leaves us feeling like a huge load has been lifted off our shoulders. It is okay to be messy. You can check out Katie's new book, Messy. It's available at Amazon and I think all good bookshops, and also at her website, KT, that's a letter K, a letter T, Dean, dean.com.au, and her Instagram handle is ktdean.com.au too. Enjoy this conversation with Katie Dean.
Messy, as the tagline says, it's the guide to living lighter and giving less fucks. So I was going to say giving less fucks, but my mum would have killed me. But, basically, it's for anyone who's felt completely overwhelmed if they're not, brewing their own kombucha and, making their own underwear from organic cotton and feeling like they need to be doing everything from scratch, doing everything at a really high level, and it makes you feel like you're failing. And it just doesn't need to be that way. I think some of the best parts of life are in the mess. Like, we've all got a tiny shit show going on that no one talks about, really. And I think this book was about addressing all of that, and it's the ultimate anti-self-help book. Someone who's read it, this is so not a self-help book. I don't think we need someone who's always telling us, you need to do this, this, and this to fix your life. I just think that's horseshit and so damaging. And I write self-help books, so I'm saying that in a way that I just want to put women back in charge of what they deem is awesome and make those own decisions about that it's okay for life to be messy.
Yeah. Hallelujah, because it is. There's no denying it, no avoiding it. And and like you say, getting permission sometimes is all we need.
Yeah.
To just go, oh, thank God. And it's actually reminding me of a part in my book that I'm writing. So and I'd love to kind of get our brains maybe, working on where this all fits in with beauty and carrying the beauty load, right? This mess, this whole having to be perfect thing. But just before we try and wrap our brains around that, I've got this bit about how one of my issue with my looks has always been small breasts and the amount of insecurity and sense of lack it has given me over the years, unbelievable, really. And what really helped was meeting this woman who was just a role model for small breasts and made it look attractive, sexy, beautiful. And all of a sudden I was just like, boom, it changed something. It clicked something in my mind, and it just all of a sudden became a non-issue. It's like this role model, but she was just a permission giver. Like, that's what she was. She just went, it's okay.
And I'm all for the small breast movement, like 100%. But I can totally see, like, coming from someone who's had implants and now has had them removed. I'm so much more confident in my body with my little, you know, ski. They're deflated and all whatever. And it also has a lot to do with what I surround myself with. And I think, like, obviously media and all the men's magazines and all of that, and what we believe and what we are shown as being a female and womanly figure, that's changing. I think definitely. And a lot of my favorite clothing brands, the women are now, like, if you had ample breasts, I don't think you'd be able to wear a lot of it. Like, it's all very, like, low cut, but in a, like, it's designed to be able to be worn without a bra. And it just sort of started making me realize and see the beauty in so many different shapes. And it's about that woman who you've seen, who's given you permission to rock a different sort of looking chest.
Yeah.
And it's just, we hack on the media a lot, and we should, for so much of what they've presented to us. You know, it's a very controlled medium, and it's very airbrushed. It's very all of that. But I think there's definitely, and I can't wait to see your book on this, like, there's some positive change and more awareness over what bodies can look like, what bodies do look like, and, like, embracing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's still a lot of pressure.
It's still a lot of pressure. I think on one hand, Instagram is really good for that, because there are so many role models for different shapes, sizes, looks, you know, whatever. You can find it on Instagram, and you can follow these people, and they can be your permission givers. But at the same time, you know, you've got that scrolling through these perfect images, making you feel like complete shit about your life.
Yeah.
Kind of gives and it takes, and with the same hand.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you've got to be ruthless with your social media, like, who you follow. Yeah. I actually have recently, I was following like 1,600 people, which is ridiculous. I love Instagram. That's like, I love it. I'm all about the gram. But I really had to come back and do like a gram audit, and I got rid of, I think, like 700 people that I was following. And it was just like, that's also okay. It's nothing personal. Like, it's not like I hate these people or anything. It's just like, is this, does this align with where I see my life right now? Is this inspiring me right now? Do I connect with this person's message? Is this challenging me in a good way? Because that's important as well. We don't want to shy away from our triggers. Yeah. Because that's where the healing is. And then we go like, well, why is that triggering us? But we don't need to follow people who are making us feel less. Well, no one can make you feel, but who are continuously evoking a feeling of less than within ourselves without the encouragement to do some work around it. Yeah. That's just not necessary. And I mean, when I was building a home, I had so many home things on there, and now even on that level, it's like not really vibing on the wallpaper ones now. So it's like, unfollow that. And I think that's okay to just constantly be checking in with yourself. Yeah. As to who likes what and what doesn't.
So essential. And just coming back to beauty, and that idea, I think that we are so much more critical of ourselves than we are, say, of our girlfriends, right? It's like,
totally.
I need to be this perfect goddess, or else I am just so harsh on myself and telling myself I'm, not looking good enough and nothing looks good and there's nothing to wear and I need to fix this or fix that. Whereas my girlfriends, I'm like, you're beautiful.
Yeah. It's that gathering evidence. We're offensive when it comes to us. And I know, especially now being 37 and single, that, when most of the time I'm cool. I don't even have a full length mirror here. I'm just cruising through my day, But when it comes time to put myself in a situation where it's possible to meet people, I start noticing like, oh, my neck's, the perfectly age-appropriate things, but the skin on my neck's not looking like how it used to, or, like you're getting the jowly type thing, also perfectly age-appropriate. However, I'm very conscious of not being 24 and being, and then it's like we do the whole work around, well, no, they're going to have to like me for me, and I like me for me, and I've earned these. This exhausting. Like, we know that, but it's still there. You're still like, we know the rational minds, like, it's not important. You've earned these stripes and whatever, and like having the breast implants out, I now have big scars underneath, and one boob's bigger than the other, and they've breastfed 2 babies, and very different, and so that whole like, what's someone going to think of my body naked?
I know, which I am sure there are a lot of women in your situation. You've maybe had some babies, you find yourself single, and you've got this different body now to when you were dating before.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's always like but then you can work through it, and that's why we do what we do.
It's interesting, and I talk about this in my book, that in our heads, it seems to us in those moments that beauty is like 100% of what matters.
Yeah.
When it comes to attraction.
Yeah.
No one's going to be attracted to this, which is such bullshit, right?
Yeah. Like, totally. And it's like, I always think of Elizabeth Gilbert wrote it in Eat, Pray, Love, and I think it's in the movie as well. Like, when it's in the movie where they're trying to get the jeans on, and one of the girls is like, oh, he's not going to love me, my jeans are not going to do up, and she's like, mate, have you ever been in a bedroom with a man naked and had them walk out on you? She's like, no, like, they've got a naked woman in there, they won the lottery, like, good, they don't care. I don't think we give men enough credit in the aspect of their depth of what they are looking for in terms of what would attract them to women, and it's rarely what we think it is.
Oh, I totally agree, and I actually think a lot of our beauty anxiety is warped and much more about women, what women want, is much more our own neurosis.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I know when I'm getting ready, I want to put things on. I'm not thinking about what the man or the partner's are. I'm thinking about what's going to make me feel good in that situation.
Yeah.
Or we went out for dinner on Saturday night, and all of us girls were messaging each other, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? So that we'd all be matched up, I guess, with, like, no one's looking too dressed up, no one's looking too casual.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that until now. So collectively, and then one of my girlfriends was like, I'm not going to wear a skirt, and the other one was like, please, you've got to wear a skirt, because otherwise I'm going to be in a skirt. And we're grown-ass women who are still carrying on like this, because no one wants to stand out too much, but then everyone wants to be still visual, and it's a landmine field.
It's really a landmine, and like, you're right, it's about fitting in, isn't it?
Yeah, no one wants to stand out too much, just enough, but not so much that it's awkward.
So what's the messy, I'm wondering how comfortable you would be to tell us a little bit about getting comfortable with your breasts.
Oh, yeah.
Your journey with that, and maybe just incorporating some of your messy insights, like tips with that.
So for me, it was a really slow and long process, but for me, because they had to come out for health reasons first up. One had ruptured, so it had to come out. But the thought of getting them back in again was just not an option. The great, but he still was like, they're not going to look how you think they're going to look. but that was also okay because my top priority was my health.
Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling well. I was definitely not feeling well from them, and I was in a lot of pain.
Because of the rupture.
Because of the rupture, yeah, and it had actually flipped as well. But I was getting a lot of pain, and it all happened really quickly. Once that came about, like, yeah, it was all happening from when I went to see the doctor because this pain was getting so bad, which I'd put up with for probably like 9 or 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's just from breastfeeding. You know how you get little twinges and things.
Yep. Yeah, hard to tell the two apart, I imagine.
No, I was just putting it off. And then it started to become so severe, and I went to the doctor. The next day they were ultrasounding me, and I was into the doctor the next week for 6 days later surgery. They were like, these have got to come out. No, there's lumps, it's bad. But it turned out fine, but that was part of it. So it was all there wasn't a lot of time to think about it, only that you need to get it done. But there was absolutely moments where I stood and was like, well, who is going to want me now?
Yeah.
That was the first nasty thought, was that 100%. And then obviously I just sat with that for a while, because that's a real genuine concern for when you've had implants for 10 years to then add on to everything. Obviously, I wouldn't try and wish it away and say you're not allowed to have that thought or that's ridiculous, because it wasn't. It didn't feel ridiculous. And that's the thing with any of these limiting beliefs or these just really unkind things. To then ridicule yourself for having them just makes it worse.
Well, it actually keeps you stuck, doesn't it? Because you can't process that then.
Yeah, it's just, no, you're allowed to think that way, and we'll work on that when you're ready. So after that, then it became, like the healing process is pretty intense, and the drains and all of that. But then finding ways to fall in love with my new body. And I mean, the breasts and our skin is amazing. Just like your giant pregnancy belly. Yeah. It goes back. So all that extra skin that I had has gone back. And they just look like they're different sizes and the rest of it, but most of ours are. Yeah. And I've, changed my clothing style again. I treated myself to clothes that I was going to feel good in. Yeah. Gradually, over time, and started to fall in love with all the things that were great about having smaller breasts. Like, you can exercise really well again. You can go to the beach and it's just not as comfortable. Like, I can sleep on my stomach a lot better. And it's, again, that gathering evidence for what's important. Yeah. They honestly I felt more insecure with them in hindsight. Yeah. Than what I did without them.
Why is that, do you think?
I always felt like a bit of a fraud with them. Yep. They were much bigger than I thought that they were going to be. That's the doctor's choice in the end, because you can make requests, but then you also say, well, we'll leave it up to you to decide once I'm under. And I wanted to become a full C, but I came out like a double D.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah. And I was also so
different to what you asked for.
I was also so young. I think I was only 27. Yeah. And too scared to speak up. And I just thought that this is what it was. And this is, this is fine. And blah, 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 the rest of it. That's fine.
So initially, did it make you feel different about your body? Did it make you have more loving thoughts?
No, definitely not. No. I knew they got attention at some things. My partner at the time loved them. He was very into them. But yeah, it never did what I thought it was going to do, because the issue wasn't about my boobs. It was about me not feeling good about who I am. Not that I thought that at the time. Yeah. And I waited a few years. I was researching for 2 to 3 years before I got them. It wasn't like a, rash thing. But it wasn't until the last sort of couple of years, especially when I started having children, I realized that these are really not my friends. I'm also, in saying that, I was like, well, I have them. I'm going to make the most of them. But you would never have caught, like, I never wore revealing shirts out. I'm always being like a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl. I spent more time trying to cover them up so that I'd be respected and taken seriously. This is just me thinking this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally, rather than trying to accentuate them. And I was like, well, I needed them to be in proportion and I'd try and convince myself of my love of them, but I really didn't.
But you really didn't. And then you started having thoughts of, these are not my friends.
These aren't my friends. Like, these are not.
You somehow manifested that they needed to come out there.
I don't know, maybe. Like, I honestly, and then something happened. Or I must have known on a level, I don't know, but I started to separate myself from them a long time before they had to come out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then breastfeeding, they were ginormous. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I didn't struggle the way that I thought I would emotionally around it. I feel sexier in my body without them so much.
Yeah.
I look like my whole shape has changed, and I don't have that pressure on my chest. Like, it was
pressure.
Like, I remember even laying in hospital after they'd taken them out, that I had this, I could breathe. Yeah. Like, my lung capacity totally changed. So, like, even with drains, and I was just like, felt like I could take a deep breath for the first time in 10 years.
And when you think about how important breath is.
Far out. It's not surprising to me that, well, I mean, there's over 30 chemicals and toxins in a bag, and then we place them right above our most important organs.
For cleansing.
Like,
yeah.
What do we do? Like, why do we, and I'm not hacking on anyone who has them or loves them. I've got some girlfriends who rock them and own them and love them, and they feel really great about themselves and they look great.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And in the end, it wasn't even up to me. It was, even though I think I would have got them out, but then it's like you spend all this money getting them in, and then you're like, I don't want to. Have to. So I'm grateful for the health scare.
Look, I think there's so much. I'm really glad we're talking about this, actually, because I talk about this in my book as well.
Yeah.
Because it's all part of the beauty load, right? And actually, we think with the beauty load is like the mental emotional load. You know, it's just this pressure on our shoulders, constantly thinking about it, and we're constantly thinking about our look, are we pretty enough? Like, not consciously necessarily, but quite often consciously, and if not consciously, subconsciously. Mm-hmm. And I think what you've illustrated here so nicely is that we feel the beauty load when we have this imperfection that we want fixed, but then we go get it fixed. The beauty load doesn't go away.
Mm-mm.
It's still there, and it's all about, am I looking too exposed? Are people looking at me as though I'm a fraud? Are these,
Yeah.
Like,
totally. It just morphs and shifts and changes.
Yeah.
But I just really wish, and I said it to one of my clients the other day, like, I hope, like, I want you to stop looking for things to fix. Like, we've got to give ourselves permission for things to be how they are. Like, it's not, there's this nirvana that's out there that's sold to us by so many industries, that if we just fix this, or if this just changes, or like in our relationships as well, if they just do this little thing differently, then everything would be okay.
If they just stopped doing that,
then I'd be fine. And it's like, well, no, it's that constant. And I mean, we're in the industry where we encourage change and we encourage growth, but there's a point where you've got to look and see, is this becoming helpful, this search or seeking or understanding of who you are? That's helpful.
Yeah.
But this constant need to the next level, the next thing, the next.
Well, it's it's throwaway culture, isn't it? It's like, if we ever need something, we just go buy it. If it looks slightly broken, we just go replace it. And we kind of are approaching ourselves, our partners, our bodies the same way. It's like, broken.
Yeah. Next. Well, you know, if I just get this, yeah, totally. And I mean, I'm all for doing what you want to do to make yourself, if you put makeup on or do whatever, or something cosmetically is going to help when you look in the mirror and you don't see what you used to see or something, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Like, I am never going to say don't do that. But is it, like, you've got to get really clear on, is it actually, are you trying to fix something, or are you running from something, or like, what's your why around it? That's the real.
And do you have to do that to be okay?
Yeah. Never. Like, it's never, like, honestly, it's it's like a rabbit hole, isn't it? It's like you can constantly go down.
Yeah. But I love that really your message of messy is so powerful, actually, because in all of these, if we can embrace the imperfection and the messiness, we're kind of okay. Always. Yeah.
Always fine, because it's about being able to throw the rule book out the window every day and go, well, what's going to feel okay today? What is going to get us through that? If that means that the kids are having some device time and you've got to order takeaway tonight because you've got work to do and what is going to be in the greatest good for everyone involved and the least amount of drama, then let's do that. Or if it's going to be the next day, it might be, no, we're all going outside today, work can wait. That what feels good today. This deadline needs to get done, so we've got to do that. It's just not living to a set of unattainable and restricting rules
that are probably not even yours.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So is that the key, is to work out what's important for you?
I think it's one of them. Yeah. I think it's probably the most important, and constantly evaluating what success looks like for you, what joy and playfulness looks like to you, and what, like, I've got some beautiful friends who ferment all their own foods. They activate their almonds. They've got jars everywhere, high importance for them.
Yeah.
And I can see why. It's beautiful. I love it. I love watching them do it. I just don't do it. No. Then I've got other friends who knit all their kids' clothes from scratch because she loves it. Do not do that. It's not a priority for me. But for me, a big priority for me with the boys is getting outside, going to the beach, doing activities every day. And because I'm out there doing all of that, I don't have time to ferment the almonds.
No, that's true.
So it's and I'm definitely not knitting their clothes. So it's can you imagine if I tried to knit the boys some clothes? They would last me 10 seconds.
So who's the woman that's out there going to the beach, knitting the clothes and fermenting the almonds?
No one.
No one.
No one's doing that. If they are, that's just their priority, and that is also totally fine. But I don't think we can do it all in the traditional sense that everything's, women can do it all, or anyone, for that instance. We can't do it. We can do all the things. We just can't do it all at once.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, I don't want to do it all.
No.
I have enough trouble doing what I'm doing.
But you do a shit ton. Just want to put that there. I mean, explain to us. You're a single mom with two quite young, energetic.
They're mad.
Attention. Yeah. I mean, you're at a phase where your attention is really required. Yeah. My kids are 14 and 11, so it's different, the amount. And they need me, but it doesn't need supervision. I can have a shower.
Yeah.
So you kind of make it look like you are doing, you're writing books, you're a coach, you have an online business, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
You don't look all that messy.
It's messy. It's very messy, but what I think I have learnt to do well is my boundaries around what I'm able to do in terms of, I say no a lot I'm in bed with the boys. They go to bed at between 7 and 7:30, and then I go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm not up till all hours because I can't. My sleep is one of my most valuable things that I have. And if I mess with that, then my anxiety starts to, I can tell, like I'll start getting weird about their lunch boxes and things. And it's like because they've been waking all through the night.
Yeah. So once you're starting to get weird about their lunch boxes, you're like, okay.
We're going down that rabbit hole. You need to pull back. But it was like the other weekend when they went to their dad's, I had a lot of social things planned, but I could feel myself starting to get sick and run down. Like my body was tired. So I cancelled it all and I literally stayed in because I have to take care of the tank and I can't, you know, like I have 2 days a week where Oki goes to daycare. He's my littlest, so I try and fit it all in there. But that also means saying no to coffees on those days, saying no to a lot of the other fun things that I want to do. But it's like I know how much better I'll feel when I get my podcast done. And I know how much better I'll feel when, you know, I tick off my work list. Yeah. But I don't schedule ridiculous. I know what I can do now and I know what I need to be able to do it. Like I don't jam pack my days at all in terms of like with friend things if I've got to work. Like I know if I'm turning up to do a speaking gig or something, that couple of hours beforehand has got to be really quiet. Otherwise, I don't deliver. Yeah. There. Like, I carry that momentum. So things, it might look like I'm doing, I guess there's lots of projects going, but in fairness, it took me over a year to write the book. And I finished it in January. Mm-hmm. So it's only now being released in October. Uh-huh. So there's been a lot of time. So it's like, and I think social media can make us forget that. So, and the podcasts, I record a few of them when the boys are away. Yeah. So, because when I have them, you know what it's like with 2 and 5 year olds, like I have them, they don't give a shit if I've got to go and record a podcast. They will just tear the place apart. Yeah. So I can't do it when they're there. And that helps me. But to say that I wouldn't get anxious if there's deadlines and things coming up, and because they've been really sick this winter with like pneumonias and bronchitises and croup. It's been feral. They haven't been at school, and I know I've got things to do. I get anxious when I can't do them, and I'm like, you know, and that's when you actually need to go. It's okay to be. For it to be late, for it to be messy, for it to not happen today, or to be the mother that I'm being called to be. Well, that was like the other day when I thought I had to change our podcast because I'm like, I just can't do it today because I'd been out, I think it was like 8 times with the boys with crew the night before, and I was so quick to say, look, I'm going to have to reschedule. I don't think I can do it because I know what I need to show up for the people who I want to show up for, and if I'm not feeling it, it's a firm no. I just can't. And so what I'm taking from this is you've got your priorities right, and you've got your boundaries in place. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Yeah. And I'm ruthless in holding up my boundaries. Yeah. To the point it's where some people would say, but that's so rude to cancel, or that's, you know, that's not fair to do that to someone, or you make a commitment, you should be able to honour it. And to those people I'd say, awesome, well, do you want to come over and take the night shift? And great, look after the kids, and I'll come and do that. Like, but being on the receiving end of that, it would not feel rude to me. Whereas I've had a podcast interviewee before who has been there in body but not enthusiasm or spirit. Yeah. And I've ended up just culling that episode. It's like, this is rude. Yeah. Like if you're giving someone, or if someone has invited you, which I think is so, like I'm incredibly grateful to get to talk to you and anyone who's kind enough or who thinks enough to want me to come and be there with them. then I want to show up and I'm present. And if I can't give you that, then I'm not holding up my end of the bargain. And thankfully, the only times people have been pissed if I've had to cancel, and I don't make a habit of it, but because I'm generally pretty clear on what I can do. But the only people it's socially who get mad, people who are, especially women, generally understand what we're as a collective capable of.
Yeah.
And if we can't do it, we're like, especially if someone's been like a mother who gets it, and it's like, mate, you need to, you don't have to do that. Like recently we had a beautiful woman designing the cover of Messy. And the poor thing, her 3 children and herself all went down with influenza.
Oh, God.
Like, bad, really bad. And it was like it dragged on for about 2.5 weeks, and she just couldn't do it. And I could see it in her messages that things were, she was in it, like 3 babies.
Worst.
Totally. And I was like, being a mom, I was like, do you want us to take this off your plate? Like, I am totally fine to do that. Like, we can get someone else. And she just sent this beautiful big row of like the crying emoji. She's like, oh my God, thank you. Because we just can't do it all. Like, we can't. We shouldn't have to. And there's unforeseeable circumstances and pressure that we just don't need to do. And we're all human. And it's messy.
It is messy. It's messy. And we got it in our heads that it's neat and tidy.
Who's living that? Who's watching that movie? Because I am not watching that movie.
I was recently dropping off my daughter's friend to a family who were heading off to go camping the next morning. Yeah. And she was just like, I'm so sorry, thank you for dropping her home, but I was just so stressed because we're going on holidays in the morning and I have to always wash every sheet and every towel before we go. And I was like, really? Oh. Like, you can't just leave it. She's like, it would kill me. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And I was like, oh, honey.
Yeah. I can't even tell you the last time I washed the sheets. Honestly. That's a problem.
Maybe today.
Maybe today now. I wash the pillowcases. I know that. But it's not a priority. The kids are always bathed before they go to bed. Yeah. So they're only little people. They're not like big stinky men.
Look, at that age, I remember they were usually changed after some kind of a sheet emergency.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, but see, again, your friend's priorities. That's a 10 out of 10 for her. Yeah. Whereas I'm stoked if the beds are made, and that's not saying either one is wrong.
And I can't remember the last time I made my bed.
Yeah, so. See, making my bed is like I do it every morning before I do anything else. Like, that is a must do. It's only a doona. I'm literally pulling it up and throwing some pillows in. It's not like tucking sheets. But I know how quickly my day can go to shit. Yeah. And that just makes me feel like I've done something.
You've done something well.
Yeah.
You've done something. You've started the day doing something well.
I've achieved something. If nothing else. And then as soon as I jump in the shower, like, there's a good chance that one of the 3 of them, Ruby being my dog, is going to come up and jump on it and whatever anyway. So it gives me like 30 seconds of satisfaction and control over my life, and then it all just...
And then it all unfolds from there.
And that's fine. It's just, you got to get okay with lowering the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Because keeping that bar up here is just driving us all mental.
Yes.
Like, that's one of the chapters in the book. It's like, lower the bar. Like, the key to happiness is virtually having it on the ground.
And I love that your first book was Becoming Brave, right? Because, and I'm really taking in this message of lowering the bar, because I think, like, as a woman who's got 3 weeks before her book draft is due, like, I can't produce anything if my bar is up there.
No. Like, it's done. You've just got to, like, true is better than perfect.
Yeah.
So especially in terms of writing a book, you just have to write what's true to you, not what's perfect.
Yeah, okay.
and it's just let it all out. And you write for you and you edit for your audience.
Okay.
I took heaps out, and I went through one of the last ones because I was sharing so much, like things that just weren't necessary to be in there had to be written.
Yeah.
Especially about my ex-relationship. It's not necessary to be in the book and shared amongst everyone, but I wrote it for me, and some of it was really angry, and it's like, well, it's just not needed. It's not needed on that. The message is this. The whys aren't necessary. So you write for you, edit for them.
That's a lovely way to look at it. I like that.
I think so.
Right.
It's freeing anyway, because it's messy.
Messy. And like you say, the bar has to be
so low.
So low.
Done.
Oh,
done is good.
That just feels like a balm for me, hearing that.
It's like, honestly, that's like, we do, like, my children obviously haven't been breastfed or fed in this way, but fed is best here. Like, in anything, like, we try and eat really well. I'll cook, but I spend so much time, like, doing all the veggies, doing all these things, and they won't eat it. So it always then resorts to toast or pasta with cheese on it or something that, and I'm just like, if you're going to bed with a full tummy, we're good. We're good. But I could easily, and I did spend a long time driving myself batty about that. And it's like,
I remember being in tears.
Yeah.
You know, like I would make these beautiful, delicious, organic vegetable little things, freezer tray them, you know, like following all the other mums, and he would only eat Heinz, like little tinned baby food, and I was like, no, I want to be one of those organic mums.
I totally.
And he would not play games with me. No,
that's it. And it's like, I know I have felt such shame. I don't anymore as much, like, you know, the pouches, the little organic pouches and things. Sometimes that is all my little guy. He's like, no pouch. And I know that there's going to be mums listening to this going, he didn't have it in the house and he wouldn't be able to get it. And I get that. But some days you just got to, whatever. Or if we go to the beach, and when he was really little, and my friends are bringing out the little steamed broccoli or like braised beef cheeks and this, like, because they're all not grain free and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, geez, I'm struggling to get the two kids out the door. Like, I'm not
doing the
happening today. We're here, throw a pouch, you're good. And now they're a lot more varied in what they eat, but with just, I don't know, I would then have to explain to my friends, like, please don't judge me. We had like a poo explosion as we were coming out the door and I didn't get a chance to get the lunchbox. And it's like, one of my other friends felt really guilty because we're all rocking around with our keep cups, right?
Yeah.
With our coffee at the beach and whatever. And she had like a normal disposable coffee cup. The shame on her face. And I was like, mate, like, can we just lose the guilt? Like, the fact that you're that concerned about it shows that you care enough. Like, enjoy your coffee.
And you're probably doing 15 other things today.
Exactly. It's like, let's rinse it out. The kids can build castles with it. You'll take it home, dispose of it thoughtfully, and we'll carry on. It doesn't need to mean what you're making it mean in this moment, that, you know, you're hating the earth and you want to kill all the turtles. Like, it doesn't mean that. It just means that you're a mum, you really needed a coffee and you forgot your keep cup.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to finish up now because I have kept you for a very long time, but I just feel this whole chat we're having as such a balm of just, relief. Thank you.
I always love chatting with you. It's always so easy.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I love it. But I just want maybe one last piece of advice for a woman who's just like, I don't know, she's just stressing. She's just feeling like a bit of a failure. I don't know, maybe she's got the breast implants, or maybe she really not happy with extra weight she's put on, or maybe she's right in the thick of a divorce, or her babies are not sleeping or whatever, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. All of it. Yeah. All of it. That I was there for all of that. That was all the boxes right in the bang of it. That it's okay. It's totally fine that you aren't digging your body right now, or you're not loving your breast implants, or you really do love your breast implants and are feeling really triggered by this conversation. That's fine. There's no rule book to any of it. Like, there's honestly no one is going to give you an award at the end of your life and say congratulations on being peopling really well. Like, it just doesn't exist. There's no best human award for any of it. So, like, I am massive for tuning in to what's really important for you in that moment, and it might change day to day. Giving yourself permission to do whatever you need to do to feel okay in that moment. Like, if it is, you know, you're not loving your body right now, that's okay. So what do you need to do to feel okay about that? And generally it's doing something body positive, like moving your body. I'm not talking about going and smashing yourself in the gym. I'm talking about like going for a walk or stretching. Like, not something for an outcome, but something to just get you in your body and appreciating your body. And the same thing, whatever it is, or if you're going through a divorce and you're totally maxed out, the same thing applies, that it's totally okay to be where you are right now and not wish it away, because that's where the magic is. Like, when I was 8 months pregnant with Oki and separated, obviously, my mum looked at me and she's like, don't worry, Katie, you won't be pregnant and alone forever. She said, soon you'll be divorced with 2 kids. And she meant it in the nicest possible way. And I was just like, holy shit. But we're constantly always evolving and moving, and it's all fluid.
And at the time, you were probably thinking, this is the worst situation.
Yeah.
Like, you probably would have like, could it get any worse? But looking back in hindsight, I bet you that's like the start of your whole new life.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst situation was being married at that point.
Right.
That was the worst. Yeah. Like, feeling, and no discredit to him or anything, it was, because I don't want to talk about that, like, that's past, but feeling how I was then, that situation was far worse than anything that was going to come after, because I had to because what came after was me having to do the work around how I view myself and the world, but I wasn't held prisoner by how the world viewed me anymore. I set myself free from that with that decision of, well, fuck this is not okay, I'm going to go this way. And then that immediately sets you up on a path of, well, what else are you going to say? Well, what next? You know what I mean? Like, it's giving yourself permission and giving other people, when you give yourself permission for things like that, if no one can tell you what to do in that situation. So sometimes you do have to make your own decision about these big life choices. Like, if it's booking a ticket, if it's selling your house. One of my other friends just sold, her and her husband, her family sold their house, and they're traveling around Australia in a van with the 2 kids. Amazing. But if you would have waited for permission from some people to do that, they would have said it was reckless and crazy and you need the nest egg, but they're doing it. So it's like, sometimes you have to give yourself permission, and then sometimes it's okay to seek that reassurance and that permission in other people.
And like you say, there is no rule book. So
nope.
Failing because there ain't no.
Well, failure is a feeling, not a destination, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's so right. It's just a sense of, it's actually a story we create that creates that feeling too, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I'm definitely not afraid of failing.
Yeah.
I went to a workshop and I had just finished speaking and was listening, and the speaker asked, who here's afraid of failing? And he's like, everyone's afraid of failing, like everyone. And I'm sitting there and like, I've been pondering that, and I'm like, now I'm really not frightened to fail. Like, it does not bother me because I don't see it in the way that, like, I don't even know what that would look like failing. Like, yeah, okay, so if the book comes out and it doesn't sell a lot, I don't see that. I'm not defining success by the book sales.
Yeah.
Success is the fact that I wrote the book.
Yes.
I'm not placing emphasis on that. I don't see my marriage as having failed because it ended.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't try and I don't celebrate the big wins too much because I just see that as another cool step. Like, there's no made it, or it's just all part of the path. I think that, yeah, I've sat on that a lot. I just don't think failure is not an option because I don't see it as that way.
Because you're in the arena.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. The fun part is writing the books and making the podcasts. And if a podcast flops, that's fine. I don't judge people. There's some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, some that I jam with, and others that I don't. I don't think anything less if there's a conversation between two people that I don't love.
Yeah.
I don't give too much thought to that not being great. I'm just like, I'm not vibing with that one. Carry on, and I'll try again. Yeah. So to put weight on that, I just don't think. And it's the same thing, with so many areas. You've just got to look at the power that you're giving something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you're making it mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to mean that.
No, we don't. We put too much pressure on and expectations, which are the devil, on the outcomes of things, and we're missing the point.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the outcome. Like 99% of the time, like, you don't run a marathon to finish. You run a marathon, like, you can't get to the finish line of a marathon without every single tiny little step that gets you there. Like, it's just, I just don't think, I don't know. I guess it's pretty important to finish it. Like a marathon in that respect. You wouldn't take away from that, but you wouldn't get there if you hadn't had every step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really liberating place to be, though, where you can't actually rack your brain around the idea of failing in your life. I think that's
not right now.
And that's a massive load off, because it just means you're free to try to live, to just do your thing.
Yeah. I mean, and I have like things that I need to do, like we're doing a big launch event and I've got a certain number of tickets to sell so that I'm not out of pocket, you know, and that I feel that, like, to say that I don't feel pressure, that's not true, but it wouldn't take away from anything if I didn't sell them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would just be like, oh shit. But I also still have maybe I'm living in a fantasy world. I still know that I'll do it. I know that I'll do what I need to do to sell the tickets. Yeah. And so that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll just step up and
I'll just step up and we'll just, there's always options.
So one way of trying to sell those tickets might not work, but that's not failure. That's just like working out what works and what doesn't. And then you'll just do something different, right? Yeah, pivot. It's not, you won't go into the story of nobody wants to come, I'm a failure, I may as well just give up, which I think is I don't know, it's tempting for our scared little self that actually is happier just hiding at home. Yeah. Safe. What are you having it mean? And that's not to say that I don't, like, I didn't have a thought because there was 90 tickets. Yeah. And so that's like, I'm asking 90 people to give up their time. And then it's like, oh, the pressure to deliver for 90 people. But no, I'll acknowledge that thought has come up. And I'll be like, okay, well, where do you think that comes from? Yeah. And then, is that what I want to take on as my truth? And no. Like, I know I will give everyone a good
time. I'm also not responsible for their experience.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show up, and when I show up in my best, and this is what we're doing, and we're celebrating, and that, like, I'm also not holding the happiness, because I refuse to do that, of 90 women in my hands, because that's too much. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To do that. It's like everyone has to create their own experience, but this is what I can be in charge of, and
so you can feel it for yourself, and it can radiate out of you.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got to, it's not about not having these thoughts and not doubting yourself.
No, I think that's a lovely reminder, actually, that we do have these thoughts
all the time.
And they can become stuck and, solidify, but they don't have to.
No, they don't have to live there.
They don't have to mean that there's a truth behind it.
Yeah. Because we're human.
We're human.
And it's normal for us to, like, our brains question everything that we do all day, every day. Mm. It's just what it's meant to do. It's a computer. It's gathering. It's processing.
Yeah.
But what you choose to focus on, and I think there's a big misconception that you only have to decide it once, and then,
just choose what you want to focus on, and then for the rest of your life, you'll be set. No.
There's like, I read somewhere that to create a new neural pathway, it takes up to over 200 repetitious instances to solidify that new way to be. And even then, you're still going to want to go the old way.
Yeah.
So it's like a lifelong.
Yeah, because the old neural pathway is pretty bloody solidified.
Totally.
Like it's been repeated more than 200 times.
Yeah. So you've got to, it's just a commitment. And then,
I actually find as a coach, just in solidarity with you as a coach, that it simply comes back to that. It's like, how did you go with last week's session and maybe the homework that we had, which was to, interrupt your stories and remind yourself this. They're like, yeah, it worked, but it's not enough, and that's kind of like what we get.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but you have that little tiny snapshot of yes, it worked. That's it. Like,
yeah,
we've told you all the secrets. Actually, it's about turning that snapshot into your whole life now.
That's it.
That's simple.
It's so true. It's like you've done it once, you felt it, you can do it again.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to call
like we give you the pill that turns that into your whole experience. It's the showing up and the practice and the repetition that turns that into your whole experience. And I think we have so much resistance to that because it's a lot of bloody work, right?
It's a lot of work. Yeah. But so is staying miserable.
Uh-huh.
And so is staying stuck and hating on yourself. And, but it's that quote that we have to get sick and tired of our own bullshit.
Yeah.
Before we're willing to, make a change. That was paraphrasing Elizabeth Gilbert. But honestly, that's what it is. And I think we're lazy as a collective. Like, we just want that silver bullet. And
well, it's back to that fixing culture, isn't it?
Do this and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, now things are probably going to feel worse because now you're aware.
Yeah.
And now you've got these boundaries in place. Now you're going to have to hold those boundaries, which is also going to make you feel really uncomfortable. Yeah. But when you do it, every time you hold strong on what is going to make you feel good, you're going to get that ping of that worked. Oh, okay. So you've then gathered evidence to support that when you hold your boundary, that's going to mean good things for you. But it's that you can't have confidence in your ability without the courage to be wrong first.
Yeah.
Confidence comes from having the courage to do the thing first, to change the thought process, to write the book, to do that. Then once you've completed that, you get the confidence tick. Oh, okay, I can do that. File that away. And then that's just it's accumulating little ticks.
Yeah.
And evidence the whole way along.
I am going to let you go in a minute, but I just want to bring that back to a little insight I had the other day because I'm writing my first book, right? And it's scary as all fuck. Like, words don't even describe. And it's interesting because I have my big book idea, Why Am I a Bitch to Someone I Love? And I'm like, I can't write that as my first book. I just know that's not my first book.
Yeah.
The beauty one's the first book because I need to practice. And I've found myself so easily swayed by other people.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had this moment where I was like, this is just like when I had my first baby. I was so easily swayed. The midwife had me in stirrups. I didn't want stirrups, but I didn't have a voice. You know, I didn't have any experience, any wisdom, any part of me that thought they could say, no, that's not what I need. Second birth, I walk in and just go, this is how it's going to happen. You know?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that's the beauty of experience, isn't it?
Well, that's it. It's like the first pancake. When you're making
always shit.
Always shit. The pan's too hot, the batter's too runny, whatever. Yeah. No one nails the first pancake. And I think that's really important to remember. Yeah. You know, like when I think back to my first ebook, oh my God, like so basic, but it was my first ebook.
Yeah. And you had to do your first ebook to get to your second book.
Yeah. And I'm sure in time, like everything, like we've got to give ourselves permission to grow and we've got to give ourselves permission to suck.
Yeah.
Like really terrible at something.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like why are we so scared of being terrible at something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really terrible at a lot of things. But that doesn't, like I was doing burpees at the gym and my two friends are having a full conversation while they're doing burpees. They're like they're just bouncing around. I winded myself. Like I went down with such force that I took the wind out and just had to sort of roll over. But I still did a couple more. I definitely lied about how many I did, Jill. That's 10. But, you know, like, who cares? Like, honestly, there's just too much pressure to be this perfect human. Well, what is that even? Like,
it's perfectly messy.
Yeah, like I've got clients in different parts of the world where one's going through a separation at the moment, but because of her upbringing and her parents' religious beliefs, they're treating it like it's the worst thing in the world, right? Whereas here, I mean, no one's like high-fiving you going, yeah, well done. But it's far more acceptable to, like it's just sometimes that's what happens. But the difference, like a perfect situation there, like their idea of a perfect marriage is you get married and you stay together until someone dies.
Yeah.
That's perfect. No constituents, where a perfect marriage, whatever that is, but it could be two people coming together, having a happy, like embracing each other. There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
It just depends where you are. It depends who you're talking to. It depends on everything, the perfect body and perfect hair.
Yeah. So cultural stuff involved too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I must let you go. Thank you so much for this chat. I absolutely love it. And to anyone who's within 2 hours of Newcastle, so that includes you, people from Sydney.
Yes.
You should definitely go to Katie's launch of her book, Messy.
Yes, that will be Friday the 1st of November from 6 till 9 at the Edwards. So you can get tickets on my Facebook page or at Eventbrite. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if you can't get there, grab the book.
Yes, 15th of October you can get your hands on a copy. Pre-order.
Nice.
So good.
And if not that one, then Becoming Brave.
Yes, that's out now. So that, Becoming Brave is beautiful. It still keeps giving, like it still keeps popping up in my feed, and
nice
to keep going back to it. It's one of those books that you can put it down and pick it up and open it a page and see what you need to get that day.
I'm actually waiting for you to have the audio out.
Yes. Oh, I do need to do. See, there's heaps of things. It's like I do need to do that. I definitely need to do that.
I'm not holding my breath, so you have time.
Yeah, okay, that's good. It'll get there, but thank you so much for having me on. I'm so glad that you're having these conversations. So
thank you for your permission giving to the world. It's just an absolute balm. We love you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye.